that now?
Yeah. You have to start it.
We're wired. Okay, can I call the meeting to order with the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, good evening, and thank you for coming, and welcome to the regular March meeting of the Greencastle School Board. First item on the agenda tonight is adjustments to the agenda. Mr. Gibney.
Yep, there are no adjustments to the agenda this month.
Okay, easy enough. Next item on the agenda is public comments regarding agenda items. Do we have any comments this evening on agenda items? Okay, hearing none. Next item is recognitions. Mr. Gibney.
Yep, Mrs. Johnson, would you like to start?
Good evening. I have with me Charlotte Murrow. She has been nominated by her virtual teacher, Mrs. Lanham, who is also here to congratulate her. Charlotte is an outstanding student. She has exhibited kindness, creativity, and academic excellence while not missing any Google meetings. She is a leader among her classmates, and everyone wants to be her friend. Charlotte puts her best effort into all she does, pursues learning with a sense of curiosity, and is never afraid to ask questions. Charlotte makes us all proud. Congratulations.
It is my pleasure to introduce Anna Cassidy to you. We've waited a little bit to meet Anna, so tonight is worth the wait. Anna is in Mrs. Hertenstein's class, and she also has Mrs. Engel and Mrs. Ames also invited here, and Mrs. Muncie. So we have, along with Mrs. Hertenstein, to support Anna with her family. Mrs. Hertenstein writes, Anna always comes to school with a positive attitude. She always greets others with a good morning or a hug, and I always see Anna helping others in class. She's an excellent role model. Anna works hard and is always ready to learn. She is a teacher's dream student. Anna Cassidy, our Student of the Month from January. My February Student of the Month, Sam Beckering, unless he's just come in, I do not see, so I would like to read his next month, perhaps.
TZ's Student of the Month is Mr. Truman Phillips, and Truman is a fourth grader in Miss Lewis's class this year. And Truman has grown in all ways throughout this school year. He has been working hard, specifically in the areas of math and writing, to meet his academic goals. Truman is kind and courteous to all of his classmates and the school staff. He continues to try each day to be the best version of himself. We are so proud of Truman and the progress he has made this year. Congratulations.
Greencastle Middle School Student of the Month is Tristan Norman. He was nominated by a number of teachers who say Tristan is a great student. He's a very caring person, and often can be seen having positive interactions with his classmates. He's also a straight A student. Mr. Welts would also like to say that Tristan doesn't hesitate to email him if there's an issue, and he's always very polite and positive in those emails. He's a great citizen.
Good evening. Is that Savannah over there? Okay. I thought that was you when you walked in. It was dark. So you can come on down. Savannah Black is the Greencastle High School Student of the Month. And while she's walking down here, our character trait was kindness. Several teachers nominated Savannah and had these things to say. Savannah is the epitome of kindness. She is generally kind to other students in the classroom, to teachers, and others with whom I have seen her interact. She is polite, and her warmth about her makes her approachable. In photography, so we know who that teacher is. In photography class, she is always willing to work with anyone, and her constructive criticism was usually spot on and delivered with politeness and genuine concern for the other students. Savannah is willing to give of herself and her many blessings. I love that. We are all better to have known her. Congratulations.
Thank you. I'll get a chance to head out.
So certainly our students of the month and their families are more than welcome to stay and attend the rest of the board meeting. We also recognize it's a school night, so if you wish to leave, we will not be offended, but certainly you're welcome to stay.
That answers that, doesn't it? Okay, well then, moving along. The next item on the agenda is approval of the consent agenda, and on the consent agenda tonight are meeting minutes from our regular board meeting from February 22nd, 2021, and our special board meeting minutes from last Monday, March 8th, 2021, and also the allowance of claims. Mrs. Romer.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Next in your board packet, you should have 2 regular payrolls for the month of February. The first payroll was dated February 12th, 2021, with a total payroll of $427,588.62. Along with that payroll came the regular accounts payable for payroll taxes and retirement. Total accounts payable for the February 12th, 2021 payroll, $120,054.74. The second regular payroll in February was dated February 26th, 2021, for a total payroll of $415,693.06. Once again, there was an accounts payable for that payroll for taxes and retirement for a total accounts payable for the February 26th, 2021 payroll of $116,984.86. Next in your finance package, you're going to see a list of prepays. There's nothing unusual on this list. Did anyone have any questions about any of the prepays for February?
No.
No? Okay. All right. Total prepays for the month of February 2021, they were $387,163.11. You have a single accounts payable prepay for PERF. There was an adjustment that needed to be done, and for that PERF, which is for retirement, was $27.82. And then you should have a list of claims dated today, March 15th, 2021. Did anyone have any questions about any particular claim for this month?
I was just 217.
Okay.
Looks like maybe they gave us too much money. We had to give it back.
That's correct, absolutely. I was actually reconciling reimbursements from the state, and I do reconciliation every month on all of our grants. And that number did not look familiar to me. I just kind of bypassed it till I went to go ahead and do the reconciliation. And after I did that, I knew that was not our money. So I went ahead and emailed DOE. They sent back a very long email thanking me for doing that, and apparently it should have gone to a greenfield school. So I had already revenued that money in. It had already been deposited in the bank. We had to make it all right on our side, so we balanced out. So I issued a check to state to refund them for that reimbursement we should not have received.
Too bad they didn't just say, go ahead and keep it, don't worry.
That would be great, but that usually doesn't happen, especially if you're honest about it. They would eventually caught it, I promise you. So it was probably best we were honest up front. So, were there any other questions on claims?
Not from me.
Okay, we've got total claims dated today, March 15th, 2021, a total of $312,387.79. Mr. White, you ready to move on to the finance report?
Sure.
Okay. All right, next in your packet, you're going to see a fund report. The first line of your fund report, you'll see the Education Fund 101, balance at the end of February 2021, $756,670.30. Couple rows down from there, Fund 300 would be operations. Operations balance at the end of February 2021, $999,756.09. If you'd like to go ahead and go to the last page of the fund report, you're going to see a total balance for all funds of $5,191,190.50. Next in your packet, you're going to see a depository statement and bank balances for February 2021. Balance for all banks was $5,376,507.26. You'll also see a line with outstanding checks, total outstanding checks, $185,288.95. That would be outstanding checks for all banks. You're also going to see a very small outstanding deposit for $27.81. Total for all banks minus the outstanding checks, and then that outstanding deposit, February 2021 fund balance for all banks, $5,191,190.50. And if you go back to the last page of your fund report, you'll see that those balance to the penny. And I'd like to submit for approval pending any questions.
Okay. Yeah. Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item on the consent agenda is personnel reports, parts 1 and 2, which are listed on the website and on the door of central office. So, can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda this evening? So moved.
Second?
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is reports. And our first report is from Assistant Superintendent Jennifer Rich.
Hi, I was eager tonight. I was up here
See
ready. So this is the time of year we start planning for all of our summer activities, so I just kind of wanted to keep you in the loop and give you a couple updates on that. So summer school. So we are going to be approaching summer school a little bit differently this year, and I'm really excited about it. Traditionally, we have summer school right after the school year ends, and we target it for those struggling students. So K through 8, we're going to take a different approach this year, and we're going to do a Jump Start program. So that will be running July 19th through the 30th, and it'll be a half-day program. We'll serve breakfast and lunch and provide transportation. And instead of just targeting specific students, we're going to open it up to everyone and try to get as many kids as in the buildings as we can, just to provide an overall academic enrichment experience for them. So I'm excited about that. Our high school program will continue their traditional program after that runs through June. That goes right after the school year, and they'll be providing all of those opportunities that they typically do. We're also going to provide the Summer Learning Challenge through Imagine Learning that we did last year. And so we had K-8 students, anyone who participated an hour in either the math program or the reading program, they entered a drawing every week, and they were chosen and they were selected, they got a prize. And so we had anywhere from 40 students to 90 students participating every week. So I think that was great. And so we're going to keep that going as well. Professional development. So I'm really excited because I know how hard and exhausted our teachers, how hard they worked, how exhausting this year has been for them. And so putting out the kind of the feelers for professional development, what does everybody have the capacity for? Who's going to be interested? Are we going to get anybody to participate? And we have 78 teachers already registered to participate in one of the 5 trainings we have going on this summer. And each training is multiple days. So it's a big time commitment. And so I think that just speaks volumes to our teachers and the dedication that they have. And so that's just something really proud of our Greencastle teachers for doing that. So that's all I have.
Great. Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is the Superintendent Report.
Yeah, so just a couple of brief items. A lot of exciting things taking place here as we wrap up the third 9 weeks, and with exciting things, a lot of just successes and accomplishments in our staff and students making it to this point in the year. About 3 weeks, three grading periods complete. We had an excellent music concert performance the other last week. Students did a great job, and it was just great to see them have the opportunity to have a band concert once again. The solo and ensemble students that competed in that, and I think we had over 30 students that earned either a silver or a gold, many of which would have been able to earn also gold at the state level. We had a high school student, I believe her name is Maisha, win the Rotary Speech Contest. The basketball team competed in the regionals. Certainly the success in the wrestling program with Brock Carrington. He was Western Indiana Conference Wrestler of the Year, named that today, along with many other successes. It's just been a really good time to be a Tiger Cub. So just kind of wanted to throw that out there. Mr. Rogers is in the high school and the prom committee put a lot of work into planning the prom and making this a reality for our students. So I definitely appreciate that. I know that hasn't been easy. It's been very challenging. And then in the coming weeks, I know that plans are being made for some of the other traditional end of the year celebrations and banquets. So we are planning for those things and even graduation and planning multiple different options. But definitely parents and students should look for that information to come out here in the coming weeks. Also would like to thank Putnam County Hospital. I was contacted first thing this morning, and they made available 24 time slots for 24 staff members and staff members at each of the Putnam County school districts to receive the Johnson single dose COVID-19 vaccine. And so we pushed that information out to staff as well. And the hospital here, they've just been really great partners. And so definitely would like to thank them for making that available. And then finally, Friday, we finish up the week with an e-learning day and also obviously begin spring break, which I know that many students and staff members are ready for a short break away before coming back for the stretch run. So that's all I have for this month.
Okay, great, thank you. Next item on the agenda is old business, and we have no old business, which moves us to new business. And the first item under new business is for the board to hold a projects and preliminary hearing on the proposed renovation projects. If you are interested in speaking, this is a public hearing, so if you're interested in speaking at the hearing, please make sure you've signed in the sign-in sheet in the lobby. And after a presentation by the administration and its advisors, there will be an opportunity for the public to make comments about the projects. The notice of this preliminary determination hearing was published as legally required on February 24th, 2021 in the Banner Graphic. And the first preliminary hearing, determination hearing, was held last Monday on March 8th, 2021. At this time, I will ask Kristen McClellan, Bond Counsel, to explain the purpose of this hearing. Kristen.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Pursuant to Indiana statutes, before a school corporation can spend more than $1 million to construct, renovate, or improve a building that will be financed with a lease or bonds, it must hold a public hearing at which explanations of the potential value of the projects to the school and to the community are given. Also, pursuant to Indiana statutes, the school must hold 2 public hearings and adopt a resolution to determine to issue bonds or a lease for a project which exceeds certain thresholds. These public hearings and the adoption of the resolutions are just the very beginning of the legal process for a project. These resolutions will establish a maximum financial terms for the proposed project.
Thank you. We will now hear from Mr. Gibney about the project or the process of determining and communicating the projects to the community and the need for the projects.
Yeah, so as Mrs. McClellan explained, this is just another step in the process. We actually began the process long ago, this past fall, when we engaged with KRM Architect Group to help us conduct a study of our facilities and help us to put together a master plan for the school district. This included multiple visits to all of our site facilities, reviewing building conditions, trying to note things that might be end of life. Also engaging in conversations with different departments and teacher groups at all of our buildings, just to really kind of capture a pulse of potentially some of the needed changes for the different types of programming that are conducted in those spaces. So just a very collaborative, in-depth, detailed process. We also had the community stakeholder meeting this past fall to share more with the community and also to listen to feedback from the community to really make sure that some of these targeted improvements or suggestions for improvements can really be taken under advisement in moving forwards. It's impossible to maintain an entire school district just simply out of the operations fund. And so we have an opportunity here to make needed improvements, to address safety, security, and access, and to also to address the environment and where teaching and learning and athletics takes place. And we have the opportunity to do this. As you will hear, we have some debt falling off, and so we have an opportunity to replace debt. And with that, there would be no impact to the debt service tax rate. So just a little bit of information about that process, and you'll hear very shortly just in more details about some of those things.
Okay, thank you. We will now hear from Kevin Montgomery, architect with KRM, about how the proposed projects meet the needs as described by the superintendent. Mr. Montgomery, welcome.
Hi, thank you, guys. We have a few slides. If we want to go ahead and jump to the next one. A little bit of this is a recap of what Jeff said. We began the planning with a study in September of 2020 and tried to make that as an inclusive process as possible. There was a lot of boots on the ground work to understand your buildings and document everything as existing conditions, as well as meet with as many staff, community leaders, and parents and teachers as possible. Next. Most of this presentation is a summary of those findings and what recommendations come out of that to meet the school's goal of maintaining the buildings as well as improving safety, security, and access. This first slide is some of the conditions around the campus of the middle and high school sites. There's several areas that have reached the end of life. Specifically, to note a couple would be the athletic track that is failing. There's some settling within the field itself as well. The back softball and baseball areas have similar problems, along with the kind of original concessions facility, which is failing structurally, and then several small aesthetic and functional, just end of life items throughout the site. Next. And then for each of the 5 building facilities, the summary comes in the form of this, what we call issue mapping. That's a floor plan that is color-coded in terms of need. So most urgent and recommended is red, and then it goes to blue, which is needed, and then green is will be needed in the future but not urgent. And you can see then on these pages the dashed lines that highlight the scope that is proposed within this upcoming project. So those highlights from the high school include the science lab area, the media center or library, some of the restroom facilities, the finishes and furniture within the classroom, and some areas of the athletics. We should note that the high school takes up the more scope. It's your largest building, and it's also your oldest building. It's pretty easy to see where the needs and end-of-life items are within your building. Next, here's a few examples of those spaces. Again, point out the science labs, both the education and process of doing lab work, and the support spaces and technology that go along with those spaces is well beyond out of date. This building's 60 years old. Again, areas like the restrooms, and high-use facilities, the media center, similar to those science rooms, that technology and innovation and group learning is completely different than it was when these were originally built. Next. McAnally, the highest and most priority is the lower level, and specifically the locker rooms. Everybody knows how great this building is. The major spaces have been kept up and served you wonderfully, but as you go a little bit deeper into the back of house, those original conditions show through. In particular, the locker rooms were built before you had women's sports like you do now, and they've never been renovated, so allowing equal opportunity is part of that access to opportunity for your students. Next. There's a few of those images of some of those spaces that are in great condition, but also those lower level areas that need some of the improvements. Next. This is the middle school. Again, shown here in red, some similar spaces, the science labs and media center for similar reasons, but also here highlighted as the security. Right now you don't have a secure vestibule process to allow visitors in safely. Next. Again, a few examples of those spaces, pretty similar conditions in most cases to the high school within those original spaces. Next. Now, as your buildings get a little bit newer, we're into the intermediate and elementaries. This is Deer Meadow. Again, there are several items that make up a list, but they are not high priority and will be several years out. The most important one here is that entrance security. For the same reason as the middle school, there's not a secure vestibule for during school hours. Next. Photo conditions of that building. Next. Rid Path has a similar condition at the entrance, so we'll improve that possibly. We're proposing to improve that. It does have a real need around some of the exterior. There's some facade work, sealants and joints that are beyond its life, so we're including that scope of work potentially as well. Next. Here on that upper row of photos, you'll see some of that work, some of the EFIS and sealants, so that you don't run into interior water problems in the future. That work should be happening now. Next. Finally, TZ. And while most of the plan is colored, that's, it's all green. It's small, finish upgrades and amenity spaces that would be nice and could be done in the future. But right now, for the high priority items and security, we'll focus on that entrance, and then also some water issues and drainage. That's how the water comes off the building. It's could be improved. Next. Photos of that project. Next. Here overall we have estimated budgets for each of those potential projects and facilities. And then in the middle there you'll see the soft costs that go along with providing the engineering and survey and design work. And then finally the cost to finance the project for a total of not to exceed $32 million. Next. Another way to view it is by facility or by building. Again, your largest and oldest being the high school does take a significant amount of work, but we'll put you guys in a great place for 10, 20 years of the future, and then more evenly distributed and again by size for your other facilities. Next. I think that's, oh yeah. Here's an early schedule, potential schedule for the project. If we were to begin in the spring, pretty soon, we'd be working on design through the remainder of most of the year and bidding things out in fourth quarter for phase one, which would be a lot of the high school work, and get that ongoing and have to phase areas and not interrupt student activities and your schedule too much. And then we'd move over and continue the design work of the middle school and then primary schools, bidding those out consecutively after that. And then all the construction would continue through 2023. Questions or comments before we continue, I think, with financial advisory?
None for me. Okay, thank you. Next, we will hear from Mike Thurber, our financial advisor from Thurber and Brock, about how the proposed project will be financed, as well as information about the effect on the typical property taxpayer.
Good evening.
Good evening.
And thank you. I would like to go over the financial characteristics and details of the project work. However, I'd like to start by addressing a little bit about the school corporation's current debt service picture. Right now, the corporation is paying on a few bond issues, and over the next 7 years, all of your outstanding bond issues, all of your outstanding debt will be paid. By the year 2027, each issue that you're currently paying on will be retired or paid off. So it's a good time right now to be not only planning all of this project work, but to be putting the debt in place to finance the work. So on to this project cost. As Mr. Montgomery just stated, the total cost has been set at an amount not to exceed $32 million. And that amount is comprised of hard and soft construction costs of $29,450,000, approximately $2,550,000 of the $32 million has been allocated to take care of capitalized interest, which is interest paid on the bonds prior to making full lease rental payments on the bond issue. And then $300,000 of the $32 million has been allocated to pay cost of issuance associated with the financing. So those sums or those areas of money comprise the total project cost of $32 million. $32 million. The maximum term of the lease for the bond issue has been set at 22 years, and the maximum annual payment on bonds has been set at an amount not to exceed $2,940,000 annually. So it's a good time to be putting the debt in place to take care of your projects. Right now, bond rates or interest rates are at good, low levels, and hopefully that will continue through the summer months when we go to sell the bonds and put the debt in place. Right now, if you were to sell bonds for the total $32 million, you would receive an interest rate that would be well below 3%. And again, we hope for that to continue. We'll be ready to put the debt in place by late summer. And I'd be happy to answer any questions or discuss anything you might like at this point.
I do not have any questions. Does anyone? Brian, Dale? No? Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Turber.
Thank you.
Okay, now we will open the public hearing. We'll accept comments, questions from anyone willing to speak. Do we have anyone wanting to speak at the public hearing? Okay, hearing no one, we will close the public hearing. Please note that this is just the first step in the legal process. The board will continue to work with the administration and its professionals to look for efficiencies to conserve tax dollars while meeting our educational needs. And I would like to ask Krista McClellan to summarize the project's resolution for us.
Members of the board have in your packet a project resolution. A project resolution is required by Indiana law whenever a school district proposes to spend more than $1 million on a facility. As you'll see, the resolution contains the estimated hard and soft cost of construction as well as the cost of issuance and the total project cost. It also contains the estimated tax rate impact on the debt service fund, which is estimated to be 0.
Okay. That's pretty much it in a nutshell. Okay. Can I get a motion and a second to adopt the project resolution?
I make a motion to accept.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to accept the project resolution. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Next, Kristen, would you explain the preliminary determination resolution?
You also have in your board packet a resolution making a preliminary determination to issue bonds. This is also required under Indiana law anytime you propose to finance a project above a certain threshold. This resolution, as you will see, contains again the total project cost, the maximum annual payment and lease term, and other financial terms such as the estimated principal amount and tax rate impact.
Thank you. Okay, can I have a motion and a second to adopt the preliminary determination resolution this evening?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
I think it's just nice because our debt's coming off at the right time, interest rates are right, and our buildings are needing the work. So I think this is going to be just the perfect project at the perfect time. So
I would agree.
I would agree.
I agree. Okay, do we have a second?
yeah. I seconded it.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Next, Kristen, could you please summarize the reimbursement resolution?
The last resolution you have relating to the project in your packet is called a reimbursement resolution. A reimbursement resolution, if the board decides to proceed in issuing the bonds, would allow you to incur any initial costs payable from the operations or rainy day fund and reimburse yourself once the bonds are issued. This is a federal tax law requirement.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, can I get a motion and a second to approve the reimbursement resolution this evening?
I'll make a motion.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. That concludes the hearing portion of the board meeting this evening. So next item on our agenda is an approval request for the second reading of updated job descriptions of maintenance, custodial, and food services. Mr. Gibney.
Yep, so last month I presented each of those items to you for first reading, and now is time for a second reading and adoption. It's our goal to make clear the job descriptions for our employees so that way there's a shared understanding and they're more easily communicated. So it's my recommendation that the board approve these updated job descriptions.
Does anyone have any questions, comments on the job descriptions?
These are very detailed job descriptions. So thanks for your work on it. It's nice to know, I think it's nice for everybody to know exactly what their job is and what it pertains, so thank you.
Okay, can I get a motion to approve the second reading on these three updated job descriptions?
I make a motion to approve.
Second. Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is an approval request to approve some donations that I think we can lump all together. We have a donation from the Mary Allison Trust Fund to Ridpath Primary in the amount of $1,000. We have a donation from Jeff and Denise Sigworth to the Greencastle High School Top 10% Dinner in the amount of $1,000. We have a donation from Jeff and Denise Sigworth to the Greencastle High School Soccer Program in the amount of $1,500. Can I get a motion to approve these donations?
I'll make a motion.
And a second. Dale, you second? Okay. Yeah, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much to, obviously, Mary Allison Trust Fund, but to the Sigworths for their continued generosity. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is the first reading of a couple of more updated job descriptions for special education and instructional assistance.
Yep, so just like with last month, a couple of other categories bring in updated job descriptions, and we'll continue until we cover every position within the corporation, and there's no action required at this meeting. This is just for first reading.
Yep. Okay, thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is the first reading of 2021-2022 building handbooks.
Yep, so it's hard to believe it's that time of year already, but included in your packet were student handbooks for each of our school buildings. And this month is just a first reading, and we'll bring those to you for second reading and adoption next month.
Okay. Okay, next item on the agenda is other business. Does anyone have any other business?
No, I wanted to say thank you to Mr. Rogers and his team for working on the prom. I know it's not easy, and working to make sure everybody gets as close to what they want. So I appreciate it, and hopefully the kids will have a good time.
Indeed. Anyone else? Okay, can I get a motion to adjourn? So moved.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second to adjourn the meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, and be careful going home this evening.